Hi everyone, I'm Emma Woolliscroft and here I am again on Acton Halls Diamond Rock, or stable name Rocky, who is a 4-year-old, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to explain a little bit about lateral work for beginners. Rocky is only 4 and I think I've only ever tried doing leg yield with him once before this, so he is completely and utterly new to it. Now, leg yield is the first sideways movement that I would teach a horse, and at this stage I wouldn't expect it to be the sort of leg yield that you would expect in an elementary level test where the horse is perfectly parallel. All I would expect is that when I put my leg on is that he moves away from it, so he's starting to understand a little bit more about pressure. So all I'm doing here at the moment is I'm just making sure that he's listening to my leg. So when I say go, he goes, and I'm making sure that he's also listening to the half halts, which if you watched my first training video, you'll see that I explained a bit about them. And that one there, hopefully you'll see that he's actually got a little bit better at them since the last video that I posted, so that when I'm slowing my rise down, he comes back, and when I'm making my rise bigger, he goes forwards. Because you're going to need that when you start to do a leg yield. Now, this is here going to be the first leg yield that I've done on him. So I've put my left leg on, I've turned down the 3/4 line, and you can see that when my leg comes on, yes, he is moving over, but he's getting really quite strong in my hand. So he's getting really quite, like, he's just towing me, and I've got no ability to move him over. So what he wasn't listening to that time was my half halt. Now that one was a lot better. And yes, he's falling out a little bit through the shoulder, it's not a proper leg yield, but all I'm looking for is that when my left leg comes on and I put a bit of weight into my left stirrup, he moves over to the right. So you can see it's getting there. He's still a bit inconsistent with it. Rocky does make me laugh because he's one of those horses that he seems to get things in one place at the arena, and when you move him onto a different area of the arena, he suddenly goes, "Oh, I don't understand that. I don't understand what you mean." He does make me laugh, bless him. But you can see it's just trying to explain to him that my leg in this situation doesn't mean speed up. So here I'm going to repeat it on the right rein. So I've turned down the 3/4 line. I'm asking him to look very slightly to the right. I'm pushing with my right leg, and I'm keeping my rise at exactly the same tempo. So if your horse has understood the first exercise that we did in my first training video, which is your rise is the speed control, hopefully they should start to understand that when your leg comes on, it doesn't mean go quicker. But of course, they need to move away from pressure. So for him to move away from it, he will experiment. He'll try and go quicker, which he did a little bit there. And when I half halt with my body, so I keep my rise at the same speed and do little tiny squeezes down my reins, he goes, "Oh, well, where can my body go to move away from this pressure?" So he figures out that what he needs to do is move over. It really is a simple case of just pressure and release. A bit like if you're in the stable and you want them to move their bums away from you, you put your hand against their hindquarters and you push, and as soon as they move over, you let go. And it's the removal of pressure which rewards the horse. So I'm not keeping my leg on him every single step of the way. Just as soon as he moves away from it, I let go. Now, here, I've moved on to a different exercise, which I find really, really useful, and he has never done this before, so it's the first time for him. And what I'm asking him to do is go down the track, staying on the track with his body, and I'm asking him to look to the right. So I'm doing little tiny squeeze and let goes down my right reins, and you'll see that I'm having to work quite hard with my right leg to say, hello, there's a right leg here, stay away from it. And what this does is it kind of teaches the horse that it's got a head and neck, which can be separate to the rest of their body. So as I'm turning his head to the right, the rest of his body wants to follow it. But my right leg is pushing him away from the turn or the flexion of his neck, and it's encouraging his shoulders to stay on the track. So it's teaching him that just because his head and neck has gone to the right doesn't mean that his whole body has to. So that's one of the benefits of it. The other benefit is it pushes the horse into the outside rein, which is what you need for a leg yield. Now, I think you'll all agree that, okay, fine, although he got a little bit strong still, he actually moved away from my right leg a little bit better that time when I asked him for the leg yield, because I put it on, and because in that flexion exercise I'd pushed him into my left rein, he understood that what I wanted him to do was move his body over and connect more into my outside rein. And that last leg yield that you did, I hope you'll all agree, considering this is only the second time he's ever done leg yield, was actually quite nice. Once you've done a few leg yields, just go back to basics. So here I'm just making sure he feels forwards. We're on the right rein, and Rocky's right rein isn't quite as good as his left rein. And then you repeat the exercise again. And yeah, I'm still having to kick quite a lot, but he's getting a lot less strong in my hand, and he's maintaining a better rhythm during that leg yield. Same as anything, repeat it on both reins. So here we're on the left rein, and again, it's the first time I've asked him to do this, and I actually think he's doing it really blooming well, considering he's never done it before, is I'm just taking him down the track, telling him to keep his body on the track, and bending him left. So my left leg is pushing, my left rein is doing what I call softening, so you're trying to make his mouth feel softer, so I'm opening and closing my fingers. I'm having to exaggerate it quite a bit on him, bless him. And my outside rein is telling him to stay onto the track. So then I turn onto the 3/4 line, put the weight into my left leg, and ask him to move over. And there, you can almost see that he's thinking about stepping under his body a little bit more with his left hind. And here I think it's probably the last one that I'm going to do, I don't know. So I put my weight into my left stirrup, make sure he's got a little bit of flexion or a bit of bend to the left before I ask him to move over, and there he moved over blooming beautifully, which is why he got a really big pat. So, as I say, that's the second time this horse has ever done that before. It's really baby basics, nothing too complicated. The first thing you need to teach your horse to do is just, if you put your leg on, they need to move away from it. And this can be really helpful when you're teaching your horse to bend better, and yeah, it really is just the start. So hopefully you all enjoyed it, and I'll catch up with you all soon.